The world's changed. I mean, if you'd asked me this kind of thing, even just a few months ago, like everybody else, I would be looking at things differently. One of my most proud moments across the 20 plus years is honestly what just happened with the school closure. My students had well over a dozen live events, podcasts, more than 50 new pieces of original music. Um, they they made a lot of things happen, and they did it under some pretty trying circumstances. Certainly not unique to them in any way. I think everybody has had to deal with the ramifications of the school closures and things like that. But we didn't pre-record very much for any of those live events. We were doing them at the time, live streaming them to an audience, the warts and all, as they say. I wanted to create a visceral element to it, similar to what they would have been doing had we been able to do it in our auditorium or any of the other venues that we've performed at. The school closure meant we had to completely change our operating mode. I'm not so sure that's a bad thing. you know, we put together ensembles, or we have events, and we make those the end goal. But what's underneath that? By prioritizing creativity, it opens up a whole other area of music education that unfortunately I don't think gets prioritized like it should. It's been refreshing to see a lot of people in the last many years starting to come around to this notion that it's got to be about process, not product. But it's simply not enough. It just isn't. We've got to go a deeper level. All of this change and upheaval and everyone being so concerned about it. There's a grand irony to me that music education in so many ways is stuck, rooted solely in the past. I understand why. I'm not taking away from the importance of that or the art to it. But fundamentally, there's a moment right now that, if nothing else, proves that we need to equally prioritize the future. That's what all of the legendary composers throughout music history, that's what they were looking to do. Change things, move them forward, evolve things. Making it about technology, to me, is selling the students short, selling the process short, selling their potential short. These are just tools. These are just things. It's what they do with them. It's how they apply them. When I was conducting for years and years, and I do miss my symphonies, I've said that many times, I won't belabor that point, but you have to be that sage on the stage, and that's necessary in those types of ensembles, because if you don't, it's chaos and not creative chaos necessarily. But with what I do now, getting out of the way, what can you make? And not necessarily, what are you making it with? That to me is a secondary question. I don't think you can be creative and competitive at the same time. That creative process, that's what leads to real change in the world. I'd like to think that the students are finding a way to express themselves, to tell their story. As a way to respond to the realities of the school closure, it became really important. And now, with what's been going on in the world, there's a lot of social unrest in our country right now. All the more reason that the ability to tell their stories is really important. It's really critical. It's vital